Good day, student. Welcome to International Trade Policy 101. In the beginning, I would like to apologize for not being there in person to take the class because I'm very sick. But hopefully next week we will see each other in person because I love teaching. It gives me so much happiness and I enjoy it a lot. But sorry for being sick. Let's now jump to the topic. So, in the beginning, we would start with the role of power in trade negotiations. Power is a critical factor in international trade negotiation as it affects the broader dynamics of the global trading system and conclusion of agreements. The international trade framework of the WTO system is not neutral or level playing field, which we all have discussed and agreed with. Rather, it is substantially influenced by powerful economic and political factors, which we have seen various examples. During trade negotiations, these economic powerhouses may leverage their financial resources, geopolitical influence, and market size to advance their own interests and agendas. Conversely, developing nations frequently encounter difficulties in gaining a voice and addressing their concerns, which leads to trade agreements that favor the dominant powers. The agreement on trade-related aspects of intellectual property right TRIPS, which we talked about in the last class and had a very amazing presentations by all of you. I'm really glad of the World Trade Organization WTO served as an exceptional illustration of this power dynamic. Analogous power disparities are evident in agricultural debates within the World Trade Organizations. It is crucial to note that power imbalances in trade incorporate not only economic but also political and institutional components. These power dynamics have a significant impact. Ultimately, it is imperative to address power dynamics in trade discussions in order to establish a more equitable and inclusive global trading system. This requires modification to the WTO's institutional structures and decision-making procedures, as well as transition in trade policy ideology that emphasizes mutual benefit, sustainability, and development, which we almost all agree. Now, let's get to something deeper, understanding new liberalism and its influence on trade policy. The evolution of international trade policy is a complex and frequently contested issue that is influenced by new liberal economic philosophy. The conviction that trade liberalization is intrinsically advantageous and should be pursued as an objective is one of the fundamental concepts of new liberalism. New liberal dogma has typically viewed trade as a means to an end, with the expectation that the resulting economic progress will invariably result in improved social and environmental outcomes. The WTO's mission and the appropriate equilibrium between trade liberalizations and other policy concerns are the subject of long-standing arguments. Nevertheless, the organization has historically prioritized trade rule compliance over other social and environmental concerns in its dispute settlement and enforcement processes, which we have seen during the COVID and in agricultural sector as well. Neoliberalism is also evident in the World Trade Organization's approach to development issues. It is crucial to note that the prevalence of neoliberal ideologies is not limited to the WTO. For instance, developing nations have expressed their stark opposition to the trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights TRIPS, which we have learned during the week of TRIPS, agreement of the World Trade Organization WTO, asserting that its stringent intellectual property protection will obstruct their access to affordable technologies and medications. What happened during the COVID time, we are all aware of that. Similarly, the ongoing contradiction between neoliberal and more heterodox approaches to trade policy are illustrated by the protracted impasses in the WTO's Doha Development Round of negotiations, which commenced in 2001 and which led to actually no fruitful result, with the stated goal of addressing the needs of impoverished nations. Finally, a comprehensive and critical examination of the current economic orthodoxies, fundamental assumptions, power dynamics, and tangible repercussion is required to address the influence of neoliberalism on trade policy. Thank you all for your attention.